Hey, Pipe fans, welcome back to Carlo Perusa MMA. I'm Carlo Perusa. Today, I am with 4-0 undefeated mixed martial artist. He is Mr. Edmund Kwan, making his return to LFA July 26th, taking on Loai Abushaar. Edmund, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me, Carlo.
Absolutely, man. Fighting again, LFA. So far as a professional, you're off to a wonderful start. 4-0. And one thing we're really seeing is how well rounded of a mixed martial artist you are. That wrestling's been on full display. You can do amazing things on the ground. At what point in the career did you really start thinking, if I want to fight in some of the bigger regional shows, maybe make that run to the UFCs or the PFLs, then I need to be as well rounded as possible? Hey, if I want to be in the UFC, if I want to be in the PFL, if I want to be in these bigger shows, I'd be as well rounded as possible.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've always known that I was good enough to be a professional, and I come from a wrestling and a grappling background, and I've always been very confident in that aspect of my game. But I knew that if I wanted to be great, then I had to bring my striking on par with my grappling. And I think since moving over to AKA, that's really where I've grown the most. But not only just like growing in the striking department, but putting it all together.
You mentioned AKA, one of the best gyms in the world. Javier Mendez, what a legend, does such a great job out there. Obviously, Daniel Cormier's in that room. You have Islam in there. You have Habib in there. Luke Rockhold made a name for himself there. What's it like to mix it up with those killers on a daily basis?
Oh yeah, they definitely being around them. It definitely pushes me to be better. Uh, it's cool being a big fish in a small pond, but it's nice, jumping into the ocean and getting my ass beat because I know that these guys over here, they're whooping my ass and they're doing it with love, so that when I go out, that I've already seen it all and I'm ready.
Absolutely. It's kind of crazy to think where mixed martial arts has come from. Right now it's such a spectacle. It's very culturally accepted. 20, 25 years ago, people were calling it human cockfighting. It wasn't legal in every state then. And now you have UFC shows almost every weekend. You have the PFL, you have bare knuckle, you have One, Karate Combat, all these great promotions. A lot of people watch it. Very few people understand what's like to be a professional fighter. First off, when you're battling on the regional scene, a lot of guys have to have that 9 to 5 job because a lot of people aren't making millions of dollars fighting on the regional scene. It's hard to have a relationship. You have to stay up late. You have to wake up early. Your whole life is eating, breathing, sleeping, living, fighting. You miss birthdays, weddings, Thanksgivings, dinners just for the opportunity to maybe fight on the bigger shows. You've made some great progress, 4-0, hopefully become 5-0, fighting at one of the top feeder organizations in the world. But what's made you want to keep through and do this dream?
Um, I keep doing this because I have to because I remind myself of the day where there were days where this is exactly where I wanted to be. I remember working. I'm not this job right now, but like previous job, I didn't enjoy it. I was super unhappy, wanted to be anywhere else but there. And it just reminded me of like where I really should be. And that's right here, right now, fighting. Um, they're, rough days. Camp gets exhausting, but this kind of suffering is way better than the kind of suffering that I was experiencing before. This kind of longing for what I'm doing right now, you know. So I'm right where I want to be.
Absolutely. You've had some great performances in the LFA. Your last time out, you took on Sheldon Struble. You were able to pick up a great finish there in that second round. Walk me through the closing moments there. At what point did you really start thinking you could take him out there?
I mean, I knew I was able to take him out going into it. The announcers, what was it? Gilbert Melendez before the fight, he asked me, "How do you see this fight going?" And I told him, "I get it done in the second round." So I was right on the money there. But I think going into the second round is when I kind of like was able to get into the flow of things, stop thinking so much, and really just like turn off my brain and just let my coaches do the thinking for me. Whatever they were saying, it's just yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. It didn't matter what I was feeling, what kind of fatigue, my lungs were burning. It did not matter. It was just yes, sir, and do exactly what they said.
Do you feel that fighting is more mental than it is physical?
1,000%. You know, I feel like for better or for worse, you could achieve a lot of things, or I've done a lot of things that I never thought that I could achieve, you know? And it was all, the battle was all in here. I know that I have it physically, but it was more the work that I had to do was with my mental.
Absolutely. One thing that's really interesting in you, when you look at your topology, you have amateur contests dating back till 2015. And then from 2017 to 2023, it looks like you took about a 6-year layoff. What was going on that time?
Just kind of life. I graduated college around that time and I started working, thinking that that was what I was supposed to do. Growing up in an Asian household, expectations, uh, just be a good Asian boy, work your 9 to 5, make that bread. But it took me some time, but I realized that that wasn't for me. I wasn't happy doing that, and it took a lot of like soul searching to kind of like find myself back onto this path that I was destined for.
I think a lot of people who watch the sport, for the most part, they understand what you guys are doing. Obviously, they get that you're training, you're trying to win fights, go to the UFC, trying to win belts, trying to make money, all that stuff. But very few people understand the fight outside of the fight. And to me, that fight is that fight to not clock in at 9 o'clock in the morning, clock out at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's that fight to not live life by societal norms, build a platform, make your impact in the world, and you determine how to live your life. For you, is that a big part of the journey?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of it is just like building up the courage to really pursue what you want to do, and not, carving out your own road or your own path and diving into the unknown.
Absolutely. For you, what's the ultimate goal? What do you want to accomplish with your MMA career?
Oh, I see myself going to the UFC. I think maybe get a few more fights under LFA, good fights, and look for that call from Uncle Dana.
There you go. So you're taking on, you're fighting here in a couple of weeks now, July 26th. You're taking on Loai Abushaar. Overall, what do you think of him as an opponent?
I think he's well rounded. I think every opponent is a different challenge. Obviously, on paper, you could see the difference in height, so that's going to present its challenges. But I'm ready. I'm ready for it. Excited for the challenge.
With him being a taller guy than you, does that kind of make it harder for him to take you down, you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think me being shorter is going to be difficult for him to get under me. And even, I mean, I hope he tries to shoot on me.
Absolutely. With a win over him, you'd be then now a 5-0 mixed martial artist. When you watch the Dana White Contender Series kicking off in August, you see guys on there 6, 7-0. With a win over him, do you feel like contender possibilities? Is that what's kind of on the mood for next year? Could that be maybe this season? Someone drops out? Is that even in your head?
Oh yeah, it's definitely in the back of my mind. I think it's Contender Series is on the horizon for me for sure. If it's not after this fight, maybe after the next one. But I'm looking for tough fights.
Absolutely. One thing I love about mixed martial arts is it really instills values. I've had so many fighters tell me that, martial arts changed my life. I was in a bad place. I was going down a bad road. Martial arts provided me guidance, provided me structure, turned me into who I am today. How has martial arts influenced you? What morals, what lessons do you think you've gained from competing in this?
I think martial arts really brings out the best version of myself. You touched on the structure, also the discipline, and all of that. Really, I think with me training doesn't even have to be preparing for fights. Like my everything else in my life falls into place, whether it be diet, mental, sleep, health, all of it.
Absolutely. So what I want to do now is there's some huge fights coming up in the UFC. So what I want to do is I want to give you your opportunity to see what your thoughts are and who's going to win some of these big matchups. We got a big one here coming up just in a couple of weeks. A lot of people excited. Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier. I think this is a true fight for the fans. Overall, who do you think wins that one?
Oof. I've doubted my boy Holloway before. Especially namely going into that Gaethje fight, and I said that I would never doubt him again. But I think Poirier is going to be a tough one. But I'm going to have to lean towards Holloway, though.
Absolutely. Another big one coming up. You got Rainier de Ritter right off of his win against Bo Nickel. He's taking on the Reaper, Robert Whitaker. What a matchup there. Who do you think out winning that one?
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I was pretty impressed with what the Riddler did to Nickel. So I'm gonna have to go with him.
Absolutely. We got a big middleweight championship match coming over in August. You got Dricus du Plessis returning, taking on Khamzat Chimaev. Who wins that one?
Oh, shoot. Despite what all the memes are gonna say, I'm gonna go with the logical answer is Khamzat.
Absolutely. Last one here, a very exciting one. We got Gian Silva. He's taking on Diego Lopez. I think a very skilled matchup. Who do you think gets their hand raised?
Ooh, that's going to be a good one. I think Silva gets it done. I think he has a bigger dog in him.
Absolutely. We just mentioned some of the biggest names in the UFC, some marquee names. When you're watching the fights, when you're seeing fights like that, do they motivate you? Do you get some inspiration off of it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, whether it be from just like technically, but also just inspires me for where I can go, gives me a vision for the path.
You're a lightweight 155er. That division for the last 5, 6, 7 years has been so stacked. I mean, so many absolute killers in that. And it even goes into the regional scene. I mean, I think that division is very well fed and doing great things in the regional scene as well. For you, do you enjoy being in one of those like killer, big kill divisions?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it's all about being better. I try not to think about, what if I lose, or what if I get beat up, whatever. It's a part of the game. It's just a chance for me to be better. It's win or you learn, no losses.
Absolutely. One thing in this day and age, we talked about a little bit about the change of mixed martial arts and how culturally accepted it is. And one thing that we're really seeing now is the entertainment side of things. And I feel like entertainment's always been involved with mixed martial arts, I think, from the get-go. But now you have something called social media. Fights are made on social media now. You have guys calling each other out every single day. How do you feel like social media has affected mixed martial arts?
I mean, I'm definitely seeing it now that I'm getting up to like the bigger shows. I'm seeing the value in just having a bigger social media presence, because it's like at the end of the day, I'm not just a fighter. I don't just have to show up to the gym and put my time in. I also got to promote myself, so it's like I got to wear a lot of hats now.
I think another thing that social media is really showing me is, the fight game, it's a business at the end of the day.
Yep,
and I think
absolutely.
that really starts with who are you picking? That's a business decision. Who are you picking? Who are you choosing to fight? That's a business decision. Who are you doing interviews with? Obviously, who are you training? Who are you coaching? Where are you living? All these things at the end of the day, I guess, are business decisions. Are you kind of looking at this as a business as well?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I understand that this is showbiz, and it's not always that the best guys will get the best fights and all that stuff. You gotta understand, you gotta accept the game and learn to play by its rules.
Absolutely. What does it mean to call yourself a martial artist?
Definitely someone who prioritizes his discipline, his health, and his mind above all else. But also just being humble for sure, and humble in finding the right mentors to guide me through this game.
Obviously one of those mentors, Javier Mendez, the owner of AKA, one of the best coaches in the world. What makes him so special?
I think just the experience that he has, but also just like his knowledge of the game, like just how he understands fighting. I mean, he's been the best, and he's worked with some of the best, and I think that all of that kind of just trickles down. If you're not working directly with him, you're working with the people that he directly mentors. So it all trickles down.
Absolutely. For you, who were some of those guys when you were younger, when you were first starting to watch the sport? Who are some of those guys that you took some inspiration for and maybe emulated a little bit or kind of looked up to that kind of helped you motivate you do this?
I would say my all time favorite is GSP. I would say he's the embodiment of like what a true martial artist is. I mean, he's not just a great fighter, but like he's so well rounded in being an athlete, being a fighter, all of it.
It's really cool that you mentioned GSP. And, for me, I consider GSP a martial artist. And now, a term that's being thrown around a lot now, a lot of guys are referring to themselves as fighters. Kind of that martial artist form, that term is not being used as much anymore. For you, do you think there's a difference of being a fighter to a martial artist? Is that two different things?
I could see there being a difference. I think when you say martial artist, I think of someone more with more finesse, you know what I'm saying? Like someone who will set traps and like with the slick knockouts or the slick takedowns. A fighter is someone who's just like willing to bite down on his mouthpiece and just slug it out, you know? And I realized that, if you can't beat someone as a martial artist, you could try to beat them as a fighter. So it's just different levers to pull on. But at the end of the day, it's just however you get the job done.
Absolutely. What do you want to be known for? What are some of the things that you want, 5, 10 years from now? What do you want the fans, what do you want your followers to know about you?
I just want to be known for someone who puts on exciting fights and gets finishes. I've finished all but one guy in my entire fight career, and I want to keep that ball rolling, keep finishing guys.
For you, what would it mean to be able to fight in the UFC, run the bigger shows in the future?
Oh man, it would be a dream come true. You know, I it's been something I've been thinking about, dreaming about since I was a kid, since I first discovered mixed martial arts. I mean, I've always been into martial arts, but like just being on the biggest stage would just be the biggest form of validation for what I do.
Absolutely. Right now in your professional career, you have nothing but finishes. I mean, you're going up there in there, you're looking very dominant. What is that feeling like for the people like myself who will never actually step in the cage and actually compete in this stuff? What is it like being able to submit someone, finish them with strikes, and clearly pick up the victory?
Um, Honestly, I wish I could tell you that getting these wins are like this great high that I experience and it lasts like forever. But honestly, that high lasts for maybe like a couple days, and then like my mind's already on to the next. It's like, cool, that was nice, but what's next? You know?
Absolutely. So we're going to close on what is next. Last question for me, my friend, in a perfect world, July 26th. What is the outcome when you make your return to LFA against Loai Abushaar?
I think I get it done by the third round, but I'm also prepared to go the distance. I'm uh, I'm ready for a war.
There you go. Well, Edmund, man, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Really been enjoying watching you fight on LFA. I think this is going to be a great contest, and I wish you nothing but the best, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. That's it for us tonight. I'm Carl Prusa. He is Mr. Edmund Kwan. Watch him take on Loai Abushaar, LFA 213, July 26. Take care, fight fans.